Hello. Oh wait, this is not working. I'm trying to do something different in my different opening YouTube videos because they say people lose attention very quickly. So, and I've been checking the analytics, guys and gals and people. I mean to say. Anyways, I'm saging the present. Okay, I'm not gonna make fun of the sage anymore. I have it, so clearly I do like sage. Whether it's a mental thing or it actually does something. I hear it purifies the air, like it actually purifies the air, not just hippy dippy in your mind. But who knows? Okay, so today's video, I just got ashes everywhere. Sorry. Okay, today's video, I promised I would post this tonight. So even though it is 11:34 p.m. and I would like to eat dinner and relax, I am trying something in 2022 that is consistency. As someone, I don't want to blame it on my sign, but as someone who loves doing different things, trying new things, has a lot of creative ideas, my brain gets kind of scattered, my attention gets scattered easily, and I'll get really into something, and then sometimes I'll lose the consistency if I'm not being held accountable. So that's my message out there to you. If you are following this channel, thank you, bless you. If you were the people who said you were interested in this video, you're the reason why I'm making this at this time tonight, and also for my own sense of accountability. So I appreciate your interest in this topic. And let me tell you what the topic is. Ooh. Okay, so I saw a post, and it's about sensitivity. That's the topic. But I saw a post today. It's 10 signs. I have it pulled up. 10 signs you're a highly sensitive person, HSP. And I felt it resonated with me. And I thought it would be a good topic to address because it actually came up in my IG Live with my friend and colleague, Leah Shea Tillett. Go follow her, she's amazing. And we talked about sensitivity and being artists and being sensitive. So I thought it was interesting that last week that was something that came up, and then it came up today, and people DM'd me responding and their interest in this and their feelings around it a little bit. So I'm really excited that other people are feeling similar. I'm not surprised. We're in very difficult times right now during a pandemic that's almost 2 years. We're almost 2 years into this, and for some people it's been more than 2 years, I guess, by now. And I think if you're a sensitive person, living in times like these probably increase your sensitivity a little bit. So I'm going to give credit to this post and then go through what resonated with me and just my thoughts around this topic. So this post is by Eugene Motza, at Eugene Motza, and it says, for the 10 signs, you feel overwhelmed when a lot happens at once. I absolutely resonate with that one. I am someone who does not do well in chaotic environments. I don't do well when there's a lot of noise and different things happening in a room. I find it very difficult to focus. I don't know if that's linked to something else, but I cannot do with a lot of stimulation. If you've been watching these videos, you see I can veer off a little bit, and this is with no distractions. So I don't know if that's, I think that is linked definitely to my sensitivity because I'm constantly being aware of the people around me and the energy in the room and how people are responding, people's body language, just different stimuli. And it definitely can overwhelm me in times where I need to focus. For instance, like reading, sometimes it's hard for me to do not in the right environment unless I really discipline myself to tune out or it's something really good. I think living in New York has helped me be a little less overwhelmed with a lot around me, just because I'm being conditioned to be used to it on a daily basis. But I think that's very true. Now, how does this relate to the arts? This is another free, I'm a little sleepy, so it might be not the most articulate video, my apologies. Free thought video. I think in the arts, this really relates to artists because if you're a freelancer, you're probably juggling a lot of jobs or different projects, and sometimes you have more projects, sometimes you have less, sometimes you don't know where your next project's gonna be, or you're trying to plan for your own work while you don't know what work is coming. You're expecting work to come and then it doesn't come, or it gets canceled, postponed, especially during these times. I've been talking to people about that today. I saw posts about it today. So it's very easy to get overwhelmed. And this is linked to my other video. I'll link to this video about the starving artist and the side hustle. Because when you're an artist, often you have a side hustle. And that's already overwhelming as it is because maybe you're working a lot of part-time jobs. Maybe you have multiple employers at one time. Maybe you work for different companies. Maybe you freelance for different people. You're constantly working for new people. I mean, I've been doing this 5.5 years, and there's cycles where I work for about 8 people at one time, 7 to 8 people in the same month. People that it can be up to the point where I've stayed employed with that many people at one time, but it's just limited employment. Like, I'll get a call here and there, or like a call or a message, here and there to do something or to do a job, but I don't often like frequently work full-time or even part-time hours for that many people at one time. That's insane. But I only share that because I think a lot of artists deal with that on a regular basis. Some people I know it's not as crazy, like they don't juggle as many jobs. But most of the time we are working for multiple people and it can be overwhelming. If you're a highly sensitive person, I think it's especially overwhelming because for someone like me or someone who's highly sensitive, you're probably a little bit of a people pleaser. But it can pay off, and there's pros and cons to it. But you're probably worried about, oh my gosh, what are my employers gonna think? Like, I just want everyone to know that I care, that I'm loyal, and oh my goodness, that is something I struggle with so much. Anyone who knows me long enough knows that I'm probably over-explaining myself, or explaining too long, or sending too long emails, or messages, just to try to be considerate of other people and their feelings. And my constant thing that all my teachers would say on my report card is, Emily is so conscientious. Where does that come from? Probably from being a sensitive person. I would say there are pros and cons to this. And I think why I want to make this video is I want less people to feel shy or ashamed of being sensitive. Because if you are a sensitive person, at some point in your life, in my case, I'll say it, in my romantic dating history in the past, that's always been a factor that has influenced my relationships with like the people I was seeing or dating, because my sensitivity is very heightened when I'm in a romantic relationship or a deep friendship, or like with family, with the people I care about the most. It's very heightened. That's not listed here, but I think that's a key as well. So I'm only on topic 1. I'm gonna move on faster, and I know I didn't finish one of my points. I'm sorry. Okay, you have a rich and complex inner life. I like that one. I think that's a positive one. I think people should be proud of that. I think that's true because probably what that means is you're probably very self-aware. When you're a sensitive person, you're probably thinking a lot about the people around you, how you're relating to them, how they're relating to you. So I really don't think that your mentality can be very shallow or superficial when you think that way. Again, it can be too much sometimes. But I think it probably means you have a lot of thoughts rushing through your mind at one time. But it probably helps when it comes to your imagination. And I don't know how much I want to share this, but I am the kind of person who likes to, I daydream a lot. I like to kind of like let my mind run wild with scenarios in my mind about what could or could not happen, and it can go too far. But it's so rich, I guess, internally that I am having full-fledged conversations in my mind, imaginary conversations with, things I'm dreaming about, and it's like I'm in a room and it's like, okay, if they asked me this question, what would I say? Like, how do I feel about this? And even to the point where I will have to vocalize these things if I know I'm going to have a confrontation with someone to improve a relationship, to like make things better in a mature way. And I want to make sure my words are thoughtful. I'd like to vocalize these things ahead of time to myself or to a friend or family and run ideas by, like, does this sound harsh? Does this sound thoughtful? So I think that's a reflection of that statement of having a rich and complex inner life. I think this absolutely helps you as an artist because, especially if you're an actor, I think it makes you highly attuned to having a strong sense of imagination and fantasy and daydream internally, so that when you are projecting this out or sharing it, it can be so vivid and so real inside. I find it helps me get excited when I have a new character to work on, to kind of like talk out that character, or that scenario, or imagine myself in the room. It can be a pro and a con, because I think the biggest thing I'm learning about acting is being present. And of course that relates to dance, and dancers are actors and storytellers too, to a certain degree. So it's like, it all relates. But I say that can be difficult when it's keeping you from being present, when it's making you too rehearsed or too pre-planning something in your imagination to go one way, and that's not the reality of it when you walk into the room or the space or who you're with. So I just wanted to relate each of these topics to being an artist. Okay. Time pressure stresses you out a lot. Oh my goodness. That one is so me. I'm not someone who likes video games or timed games. The only one I ever kind of liked was Tetris and Pac-Man. But I don't do well under short time bursts. I don't really enjoy it very much. I used to be one of the last people to turn in tests, even though I did pretty well academically most of the time. I was just that kind of person, because when you, I don't know if it's related to sensitivity, but it says that here. So yeah, how does this relate to being an artist? I think it relates to artists procrastinating. I think it relates to the fact that it's hard to rush art. It's hard to do your best when you have self-tapes and you have deadlines and you have limited amount of time to do that. I think it's difficult when you're in a teaching scenario or in a class environment or an audition environment, when you're in deadlines to memorize lines. I mean, my goodness, process is so short in the professional world, in my opinion, because most of us don't have the luxury of of studio space, a free studio space. And yeah, we just don't have the time. There's deadlines to produce and to make money, and I think that absolutely relates to being creative. How it relates to being highly sensitive, yeah, it's just feeling like more pressure on yourself. The sensitivity you put, where you feel more pressure on yourself because another element's being added to the pressure you already put on yourself. You find loud noises and bright lights highly disturbing. I will go back to that. One more example is me telling myself I was going to make this video 12 to 15 minutes. We're at the 15-minute mark, and I'm not even halfway through. So feeling I have to rush because I want to hold people's attention on here. When part of the point of going to YouTube was to have more time to talk about these things. But looking at the analytics, people don't really have the time or want to sit down and listen to the whole thing. And I understand that because I do that with some YouTube videos too. But you know, I would think that relates to this topic at hand, is feeling that pressure within the time frame. So going to loud noises and bright lights, highly disturbing. That you find them highly disturbing. Absolutely. I personally suffer a little bit from optic migraines. So they can be triggered with bright lights. That's only been in the past few years. But actually, so that's a different thing. But yeah, I've always found these things to be very distracting. I don't do well with loud noises. If I'm in a room with someone who's loud, I find them very obnoxious. And then I find myself talking loud sometimes, and I have to tone it down. But I notice these things, especially on a train or in a group of people, in a one-on-one scenario. Like, that's just on a talking level. As far as people being loud, like, it is very distracting to me. I think over time, as someone who's worked a lot with young children, had to get used to noise and loudness, but it's not what I prefer, to be around a lot of loudness and noise. I find it very hard to focus, which I think most people do, but perhaps highly sensitive people do too. You absolutely avoid anything violent and cruel. That's not true completely for me when it comes to consumption of media, because if a program or show or even a clip, as harsh as it is, like a lot of the things that we saw going on during the Black Lives Matter movement, you know, it's very hard to watch some of that footage, and it's so messed up, all the things that were happening, and we had the opportunity to see some of it right there in our face. And I think even when it comes to that or the news, you know, there's a lot of violent, corrupt things happening in the world, and I think if we want to be aware people, we do have to allow ourselves to not close ourselves off, but within reason, right? There comes a point where you have to put the phone down, you have to put the news down, you have to stop watching these things. And that's going to be different for everyone based off of the trauma they've experienced, what things trigger them. And the perfect example recently is I had 4 comp tickets to see Slave Play on Broadway thanks to a Facebook group and the understudy posting the link, and I submitted and I got it, and I just can't believe I got to go see that with, you know, people I care about, and I did not do enough research beforehand, and I did not know the kinds of things I was going to be seeing and experiencing. That happened to me when I got lucky. I got to see the dress rehearsal for the Lehman Brothers trilogy. Also, try not to do, like, I read the description, but I didn't do a lot of research. I just read the description. And I got to see Passing on Broadway for free as well. This is the only reason I'm getting to see these shows, is I got to see these things free thanks to my circles. And my goodness, those shows like shake you because I think they're trying to push the envelope and move things forward. And Lehman Brothers didn't have anything like, I was like, oh my goodness, that's so inappropriate. But they definitely pushed, the envelope, is that the right saying? And they're provocative, and that's what art's supposed to do, and that's what theater's supposed to do. It's supposed to provoke thought and stir up emotions and feelings. And in doing that, sometimes these things can go very far, and while I thought it was brilliant and necessary, all of those works, they stirred so much emotion in me. Not passing, not as much just because of the ending. I didn't quite understand everything, but definitely during the show it stirred it. Afterwards, I think it didn't continue with me as much. I think if I was a different person, I'm sure it would have affected me a lot differently. Lehman Brothers affected me to the point where when I was trying to go to sleep, I was having so many voices running through my head that I was questioning my sanity. But it really had that kind of impact on me, the visual effects, the voices of the characters, the contexts, the visuals. I mean, it was, I said that again, truly provoked in such a way that I think if I weren't a highly sensitive person, I think I would have shook it off sooner. Shaking it off sooner. I don't know. Grammar, Italy. And for slave play, it absolutely stirred up some things because unfortunately I didn't realize the kinds of things I'd be witnessing. And it's one of those things where you want to look away, and you want to look away, but you don't want to at the same time. And unfortunately, my circle and I realized there were no disclaimers before the show that we saw or read that said, hey, trigger warning, there's going to be some context here, like from nudity to like sexual things. I mean, obviously the racial topics were very like provocative too, but it was the fact that, you know, you're seeing things firsthand that you're like, oh wait, I didn't know I was gonna see this. Which, you know, I guess when you're sitting down you can go like this, but it's also like, it's meant to kind of stir you up. So, you know, I get it, we're adults, we're grown, everyone's level is different. I should have probably studied about it more, but that was not the impression that I was given from the skimming I saw on the website. So, I share that all. I'm going into it deeply because I think it goes to show that, you know, highly sensitive people and artists could really be moved in such a way that in the moment it's stirring up these feelings and these welling of anxiety, like chest tightness or feelings in your gut, an unsettling feeling. And that could be spiritual if you believe in that, you know, the spiritual world and realm, or it could just be a visceral biological response to either, I don't know, I was gonna say humanity, I was gonna say trauma, but humanity, right? Flight or flight. Fright, I can't talk tonight, I'm so sorry. You know, that idea of flight, you know, so, or fright. So yeah. So the avoidance thing, I think I answered that. You really need downtime alone in busy environments. I'm gonna speed through these. Absolutely, I like being busy, I like having a lot to do, but as I've gotten older and I've gotten more aware of my sensitivity, I think I've learned how much I do need time alone and away from people. And I actually, as someone who seems like an extrovert who's very talkative, I found the times where I felt like actually I don't feel like talking. I like when I'm talking to someone that's also highly extroverted. Some people would say that's not true about me, but I think it's true. Now, so I think that's very true. And then when it comes to being with artists, I think a good example is when you're on a contract or on a tour. You're working intensively, lots of hours with a lot of people in a company setting, ensemble setting, whatever it is. And you're training together, you're living together, you're eating together, you might have to share a room together. Truly, it can get too much, you know, especially when you're an artist, you're around other artists, you're being highly productive together. You need that separation and that time to yourself, to just recharge, because it's a lot of energy and a lot of personalities, and that is key. I think that one is highly key for artists. Conflicts drain your emotional energy very fast. This is me to a T, 110%. I don't do well having a lot of scheduling conflicts or having bad blood with anyone. I think if you know me, you know I do not like to have a bad reputation with anyone. I like to keep myself on good terms with everyone. And if I feel someone has wronged me, the dance world is small, and I think it's important to make sure you are on good terms with people. You aren't talking crap about people. I think everyone needs a space to vent. I think behind closed doors and with people you trust. If something bad has happened to you, absolutely you should be able to express that. Maybe don't, drag it on, try to find resolutions, but I think we all need spaces to release and to vent. I think we also, need to hold people accountable if something really bad has happened. I don't really believe in cancel culture, but calling things out or people out when something unjust has happened in order to move things forward or to hold people accountable to do better, I'm not against that. I'm just addressing that with conflicts, because this happens a lot in the dance industry where a lot of people have been misused and slighted. And I think the theater world, I'm more new to acting than I am to the dance world, but I think I've seen it across the board where conflicts arise, because you're dealing with different people of different backgrounds, of different personalities, working together in an intense process under harsh deadlines. And so that's just something to keep in mind, is that will affect you emotionally, especially if you're a sensitive person. Speed round. You tend to be a perfectionist. Again, absolutely. I've been a perfectionist all my life. I didn't know that when I was little, but yes, I've been that. I don't plan to stop being a perfectionist. I just want to work on my perfectionism and improve to not let it drive me or others crazy. I think perfectionism can be a blessing, especially if you want to be excellent at what you do. And the best thing I've ever learned in life was the pursuit. I don't remember who said it. I want to say it's Eleanor Roosevelt. The pursuit of perfection is blah, 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 a waste of time, but the pursuit of excellence is worthwhile and gratifying. I'm going to find it right now. Let's see if I can find it really fast. No. Who said the pursuit of excellence? You know what? I'll leave it there. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna find it. All right. So yes, if you're a performer, if you're an artist, and I'm not gonna say everyone's a perfectionist, but I think some of the people who have long sustaining careers and who are some of the greats that are not just freaking prodigies, I think you're probably a perfectionist if you've stuck it out and you're still doing this and you're still evolving your career and you're still building your sense of artistry and your sense of entrepreneurial, I can't talk today. If you're building, I'm gonna get this. I feel not my best self This is my perfectionism coming out. Let's just say your entrepreneurial spirit, you're working on that. We'll say that. Okay, here we go. You just like being watched when trying something new. Oh yeah, I hate being bad at something. I hate being bad at something new. I want to be good at everything. I guess that's related to my sensitivity because of the feeling of failure or feeling that you're not as good enough, comparing yourself to other people. That's definitely a vice, I think, of this highly sensitive person. But I think that's one thing to definitely try to get over. But you know, if you want to get good at something new in private too, that's okay too. Because it's not about showing off in front of other people or showing your journey. I think it's really about learning something new. And you are more likely to feel things deeply. Definitely. So I'm trying to think of the best way to address these last two with being an artist. With dislike being watched when trying something new. Woohoo! I'm doing it right now on YouTube. But on top of that, you really, because things are so out there on social media these days, and we're constantly trying to show our journey and evolving our careers and our artistry, I think, you know, it is disheartening when you feel you're not getting the validation that you're looking for. But you're looking for it not always because you want the adrenaline rush of a like or a comment or a share, but because you know that the more attention and notice you get on these things, the more opportunities you'll get in your career and spaces to grow your artistry. So it's tricky, but I think that's something we do have to get over as artists, especially now. Because when we share our journey, it helps people to feel like they can come in and that you're more relatable. So that's one thing. And to feel things deeply, absolutely, like, I don't think I've ever been able to like be in an acting class kind of scenario. I still have many more to go, but where I didn't feel so stirred up that I was emotionally just like fragile at the end, or I cried, or my gut. I would leave these classes, the very few I've taken, just with my spirit like up here, or something stirring in my gut, and it was so physical, such a physical experience. And I only say I've taken a few just because I've been in the dance field so long and various resources, but I'm working on it and I'm going to continue my training. So yeah, to just answer all of this, I would talk on and on, even longer if I could. I'm trying to cut down my videos. Let me know if you want a part 2 on this, to just elaborate either specifically towards artists or just about life in general within this topic. I think it's a powerful subject. I think the big point of making this video, I want to leave with people, is if this resonates with you, please, you know, feel free to talk to me about this. Talk to someone in your life who loves you about this. Talk about it on socials. Let it out. And I'm not saying, you know, spill your baggage. I'm just saying there's a lot more people out there like this. And I think this is linked to this idea of being an introvert. So many people are considered that introversion means you're not confident or something, but you need to be an extrovert to seem confident and to have more opportunities. Well, it's like, there's a whole TED Talk about it. Look it up, the power of introverts. And I think the more we can embrace being aware of ourselves and being open about it, but working on the areas about it that don't serve us and are not kind to the people around it, then we need to do something about it. But let's not be ashamed or let people shame us for being sensitive or being emotional, being in tune with our emotions, being conscientious, being considerate, because with these, yes, they come with things that make it a little harder sometimes, but it also comes with the great gift of being someone who's probably empathetic, compassionate, considerate, and thoughtful, and hopefully someone that's sincere and honest. I don't know if I'm going too far there. But those are qualities I want to embody in my life. I don't embody all of them perfectly, but I want to embody them, and I think those are strengths, and I think they are linked to being highly sensitive. So for the highly sensitive people out there, this is a love letter to you to, notice these things. I think this is amazing what Eugene Motza shared, and wherever it all came from as well. And I think let's just keep sharing this information and checking in with each other and supporting one another in our own personal growth and progress as human beings first and foremost, and as artists secondly. Thanks for watching.